I'm your host, Coach Joe Strong, here with my business partner, Dan Goodman, and we're here to bring you another powerful episode of the Business of Strength podcast, where you can hear the tips, tools, and interviews to turn your passion for strength into a profitable business you will love. And we just got back from London. Seems like it's like you get back off the plane and it's like right back to to sprinting,
Oof.
but it seems like it was like weeks ago, but it was literally like 10 days ago. We were in London and we had a great time. It was a short kind of sprint of activity. But
I'm
we were
still recovering,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we came back, that day, turned 40. Dana threw the surprise party, and now, we're recording this on Friday, and this week definitely working, going through the motions, but definitely now starting to feel more like a human.
Yeah, we both took off Wednesday. Obviously, that was your birthday. Me, I just needed a day to decompress and sit and stay home and stare at the wall. I went and, hung out with my little guy out in out in some nature, just get some fresh air
Oh,
and some sun. But we had a great time, and I think I love traveling. We got to meet, so we got to see some of our old UK friends and colleagues and clients that we had in the business of strength in the strongest in our consulting group. We got to meet a few new friends that were there. It was great. And I got to connect with, my friend Frederick from Power Athlete, who I've met a few times down there with John Wellborn. He's got some cool stuff going on, real sharp guy. And I always love traveling overseas. When you go to Europe or even South America, anywhere you go to a different country outside of the U.S., it really does give you such a different perspective on, different cultures, different way of life, and what people value in different parts of the world, right? And one of the things that I saw that you notice is that, London's a big city. It's one of the bigger cities, in the world. And certain things are valued differently than here. Food portions are smaller. Didn't see as many people overweight. Don't see a lot of homeless people in the streets of a major city. I'm sure they're there in other areas, but it's not as prevalent as it is in like New York or Chicago, or definitely not in California, right, where it's very, very prevalent. And different big pub culture, right? They definitely value their pub culture. Like pubs in London are
and
like pizza.
cigarettes.
Yeah, pubs are like pizza parlors in New York City. They're literally on. There's an awesome pub on every block, and it was hard to choose, so we went to some cool ones. But we're real lucky that we were able to bring some of our team and close friends. Obviously, our good friends Devin, and TJ. I combined them together there. Our good friends Devin and TJ. Devin from Gage, TJ from Amped, and some of our teammates came out with us. Obviously, Adam was there with us, but we brought Alex and Erica with us, and it was really an awesome
Tony
experience.
Smith.
And Tony came out too, our favorite Canadian, and we had an absolute blast. And I think like Erica was the first time she's ever left the country, so what a treat for her to be able to do that, see that, and be part of that. We got to do some sightseeing. We walked almost 15 miles on Monday sightseeing, like like all around the city of London. So I'm always I'm always enamored by that. Excited to come home, but a very cool place to visit.
Yeah, and just being away, like working in a different environment. I was talking to our buddy Mark Ennis recently, and he went to an event. I said, how was it? He goes, man, it was great. I went by myself, and just the flight home, I had everything I needed. Just 2 hours to think about what comes next and make sure that our plan is on point and locked and loaded. And I think so many times, obviously, we host events quarterly, but there's just, too many people that are just they're not giving themselves 1 minute to think about what comes next. It's just session after session after session, and that's fine for sure. But at least once or twice a year, you have to remove, even if it's for a freaking weekend, and just think about, all right, let me take inventory of what's going well, what needs to be improved, and where do I want to
Yeah.
go next. And sometimes being forced to do that with new sights, sounds, plane rides, it's just, I look back on it, Joe, like I think one of the reasons why we've achieved success in our partnership, but also in the gym business, is that from the very beginning, obviously one of our core values is a commitment to excellence, which with a core pillar of education. But we went and we were on the move. We were in Columbus,
Yeah,
Ohio. We were in Park City, in Salt Lake
Cali.
City,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it wasn't glamorous. Like we weren't staying in the nicest of places. We were sitting bitch in row 40 on a Southwest flight,
Oh,
and staying, multiple people in a room. But you know what? We were doing it, and we
yeah.
saw what was possible, and just having the ability to go back to London, it just, it's not lost on me, and it's just, man, that was fucking cool.
It's forced bonding too. Like again, like when you're with somebody in a hotel room or you're traveling with them, like Dan and I were already close, but those travel experiences brought us a lot closer. And I think like what that's done for Adam and Mike, what it's done, for the girls, right? Because
Everybody,
yeah,
everybody.
everybody. It's just like, you get to know people on a different level when you're standing around cooking them eggs in their underwear.
Venice
Tony,
Beach.
yeah, Tony Smith got to see, a side of me that most people don't.
That was
Yeah.
three dudes in one room.
Exactly, exactly. And Tony slept on the couch. It was like it's crazy. So, but the underlying, we get there, bunch of gym owners, great talks. Everybody presented super well. I was really, really, really impressed with Alex. Her talk was awesome.
Yeah.
I was shadily impressed with Joel and Vin, our last year's gym owner of the
They
year.
were
At,
prepped.
at
They were
oh, they were
prepped.
prepped and ready. Stay Gold did a killer job. Vin is going to be on the speaking docket. She doesn't even know it yet. She was a silent assassin. She did such a great job, and it was so it
She
was
was up all night rehearsing
oh
because as I busted Joel's chops, I'm like, Joel, I know you finished this presentation like 6 hours ago, just because that's how
yes,
he does
yes,
things. And
yes.
Vincenzo's up just rehearsing and studying. And
Oh
hey,
man,
you know what though? I mean,
they
pressure
ripped it.
pressure yielded success for them.
But it was so authentic because they've done such a great, like, I mean, you could tell how much Joel really cares about that business and
Totally.
her as his number one right hand person and the community that they built
And
there.
now a
So
partner,
yeah,
it's
yeah, that's
incredible.
a
The
great
3 year
success story.
turnaround is second to none in North
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Stay Gold in Toronto. Check them out if you're listening to this. It's definitely a gym worth following, and they're just great humans. Um, so I want again, we're talking to all these people, and it always comes down to leads and leadership. Almost every problem in any business that is a small business, privately owned, to all the way up to freaking SpaceX, right? What do they need more than anything? Leads and leadership. How are we getting customers, and what do we do next, boss? Like what's the road? So today we're going to focus on the leads aspect of that, and maybe we'll do another follow up episode, Dan, on the leadership portion, but for the majority of the gyms that we speak to, the very vast majority, almost every single person who books a initial console call with me, Dan, or Adam, it is the same thing. I need to make more money. Revenue's a little inconsistent. If I just had 25, 30 more, clients, my business would be here, blah, blah, blah. We look at what they're doing marketing wise, and it's most gyms don't have a real marketing plan. They have what we'll call random acts of marketing. And there is no consistent marketing department or a marketing machine. And when I say marketing department, I think a lot of people that might be solo gym owners are like, well, I don't have the money to have a marketing department.
Yeah.
You're the marketing department,
Yeah.
dude or dudette. Like you have to then
We're talking about like 2 hours a week here.
you have to
Like,
compartmentalize the different aspects of
yeah.
marketing and execute a plan. If you're a one person show, you're the marketing department. And so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, if you build a lead machine, you become a business machine. You become a machine in business. Nothing happens unless customers are finding your business. Leads set up the sales, sales set up the memberships, great service and quality set up the longevity and the client life cycle. But it all starts with who are we? What do we do? Who do we serve? How do we serve them? What problems do we solve? And how do we get that message out to people so that they're like excited to come to our place of business, right? And again, like every small gym owner that I know, they usually go backwards to go forwards. I love training. I love sports. I want to help people. I'm going to go open up a gym before I ever have like a real marketing plan. So that's kind of where we'll start today. So think about like, so the first
And
step of this, go ahead, Nick.
like Joe, the one thing on that too, like just from so many, I mean, hundreds of discovery calls over the last few years. Remember, like for the sports person or um the trainer that goes out on their own to open a gym, remember, like if you played at a local high school and then you open a gym in your town, or you were working at a health club and you moved 3 miles away to open a new gym, like there was a period of time where you were generating leads off of the heels of a relationship, or having trained other people in another space, or you know whatever it may be. And so the thing is that you have to understand is like eventually that well runs dry. So like if you were a good high school player in a town and you have 15 clients training at a field, that's great, but like you know that doesn't scale to 150 clients. So
No.
that's your start,
Yep.
but now it's like that well absolutely runs dry, and it runs drier way faster than you think.
Yeah. So the first step in creating your marketing department is identifying a person. So if you're the owner operator, obviously that's you. But if you're a bigger organization like ours, where we have separation of church and state in terms of roles and responsibilities, okay, I'm the marketing department. It's my job to make sure that we have a plan, right? There's lots of avenues, there's lots of different people contributing to the marketing these days in our business, but it's my job ultimately to make sure that we have a plan, that we're executing the plan, and that the other people that are involved know what the plan is and that we're executing, right? Can we do things better? Yeah. Like we've identified a few areas of our business, even after all these years, that we can still clean up and get better on. Everything can always get better, but it all starts with having a who, right? Think of that person as the quarterback of your marketing. So someone must own the marketing, right? You have to have that down, right? And you have to have some type of weekly marketing rhythm, and it has to live on your calendar, right? So this is be like, big giant asterisk in the book, right? This will definitely be in the Business of Strength book is, you know, you have to have a who, okay? And it has to be on your calendar. And the big mistake I see is that when do you do your marketing? Well, I try to fit it in here. I got sessions in the morning, then I run home to take care of my kid. I come back to the gym. I'll make a few phone calls. And it's erratic acts of marketing. And it's like, no, like, how about we just take 3 hours and we put it in like, when do you have training? Oh, we have training 6 to 11. And then, and then I go back again in the afternoon at 3:30, 4 o'clock for the athletes. It's like, okay, well, how about from 11 to 1, right? You put a 2 hour block in once or twice a week, and that's when we do our marketing. And it doesn't change and it lives there. And we write down what we're going to do on those days and we execute the plan, right? That's a huge mistake. I think of it like investing. If you make money, spend money, and then try to invest when you can, when you have money around, you're always going to have an erratic process to investing money. And the likelihood that you're going to be 70 years old thinking about retirement with a pile of cash is going to be real low, as opposed to you make money, you immediately take 20 to 30% off the top of the money you make and then spend based on what's left over, right? There's a reason why America's in debt. Not a lot of people do it. Same thing why a lot of businesses go out of business. Not a lot of people set the time ahead of time, right? Before you need 4 hours of marketing, you want to have 4 hours of marketing sitting in your calendar so that it doesn't get taken up by some other, let's call it non-money generating activity. Because if it doesn't live on the calendar, you will fill it with something. You're going to have a conversation with a client. You're going to be meeting with coaches. Not that they're bad things. You're going to run out for lunch. Maybe you're going to work out a little longer than you normally would because you didn't have anything on your calendar. You're like, oh, I got nothing to do, right? And you kind of view it like that. So that's the first part of it is who's doing it and when. Second part of it is like thinking about your business. And this is something that Dan and I talk about all the time. And if you've listened to our podcast, you've definitely heard us talk about it is offense and defense. You want to segment your marketing into two distinct avenues. Offense, getting new customers to come to your business, people who have not been in your business to your business, right? And then defense is working the customers you have to get their friends, to get them to upgrade the service ladder, to get them to get old clients to reactivate and come back to the gym, right? And to get some social proof, right? We'll put that in our defensive scorecard, like reactivation, like reviews, testimonials, things like that, milestones, community stuff, right? So let's start with the offense. In the realm of offense, getting new customers, to go backwards to go forwards, and we've done a whole episode. There's definitely a whole episode on creating a brand script and really honing in on the words and the verbiage behind your brand. But knowing who you are, who you serve, the problems you solve, and what some of your unique differentiators obviously creates like a pile of words that you can utilize in your marketing. For Dan and I, email marketing has always been a big part of our business. So we started off way back in the day doing like a monthly newsletter. The monthly newsletter turned into two newsletters a week. That turned into two newsletters a month, then one a week. And now it's like there'll be weeks where there's literally an email going out every single day, right? So depending on where you're at in terms of your time, ability to write, and so forth, right? Start with something simple. Two good emails a month, one good email a month, right? I would rather you do less and put a little bit more time, energy, and effort into it to make it better than to try and I'm going to do three emails a week. We do that for 2 weeks and then we ditch it and
But
don't do
but
it
one
anymore.
thing on that I think is really important is that when people do, and I think it's great advice to have one great email is not 16 different things on one email where it's
No,
like
I hate that.
adult of the month, athlete of the month, upcoming events, buy our supplements. Like, no, it should be a headline subject that serves your end user with value. And then it should push them at the end of the email to something. This, the, you could push them to a video, you could push them to
Your front end
try
offer, come in for a free
it could
week, 6 week
it sh
transformation, whatever.
it should but every email should instigate the reader to do something further. Otherwise, it's just noise. And listen, if I open an email on my phone and I'm not hooked within 5 seconds, I'm done. I'm deleting it.
Yeah.
And it's like too often people are like, my open rates, my open rates. It's like, listen, your open rates are bullshit if it's the emails aren't doing anything. I'd rather have a 15% open rate, but a sale every time that I send something out. So don't overcomplicate the one email, make it concise, make it of value, and then always push somebody to do something with the message.
Email people under gym owners particularly underuse email in a realm of social media because social media is really kind of quick for grabbing attention. But when you build your email list to a point like us, where you have tens of thousands of emails, you own those contacts, right? And
Ah,
and you could speak to them differently. You could tell stories. They're longer winded, right? There's only a certain amount of stuff that you can convey in social media, right? So
here's a tip for Google if they ever listen. And you heard it here first, Joe. Imagine if clients or people that could read your emails could just like it.
oh
And the
yeah.
feedback loop of being like, oh, I had 30 people like my email, or I had 30 people share my email.
My
The
email's going viral.
the game that social media plays is when somebody posts something, every last person looks who liked it, who watched it, who shared it.
Yes,
It's
yes,
they've gamified it. Whereas on
yes.
email, unless you really look through and you can like you look at open rates and things like that, but the feedback loop's not the same as somebody hearting your post.
You need both, right? So again, number one for me is and us is email marketing because it allows us to tell a story, a more concise message.
We
It
own it.
allows us to stay on brand. We own the contact. And if you enjoy reading about health, fitness, performance, wellness, and the type of stuff that we do, it allows readers to really engage with us. It also allows people to write back in a non-exposed way. So if they have
Hmm.
something to say and they want to ask questions, they can write me back
Totally.
directly to my email and ask questions as opposed to blowing up on social media and maybe somebody's hating on them for asking a dumb question that, or a different question or having a different spin on things or being argumentative, right? Like if somebody has a problem with an email and they write me, they're writing me directly. It's not like they're being called out in public on social
Right.
media, right? So it's a little bit of a different thing. And again, it is still by far one of the largest money makers for most businesses and is underutilizing the gym game. We've done a lot to build our list over the years through obviously through digital ads now pumps the list a lot, but in the past we would collect the names, emails, and phone numbers at events. We would trade lists with other local
Which is
businesses that would
illegal, but yeah, I mean,
technically. I mean, the big people sell them all the time. I don't know how
yeah,
it's
the
a little gray, but
it is
you
great.
know,
But I mean, like, look, you're in your community. If you're willing to trade time, right? You're willing to do a speed clinic. You're willing to,
right? You're collecting
do
all
a
those
warm
emails.
up. You're willing to do the warm up at the 5K. You're willing to do an in service for a company. You say, hey, I'll do it for free. Just everybody's got to fill out a contact form waiver. And on your contact form waiver, there's a disclaimer. Hey, you're opting in to get further messaging. I mean, our list in the early years grew to thousands just by doing a
Events.
multitude of these events year in, year out.
Yep. And Dan stealing business cards off of
Yeah.
chalkboards in
Hey,
local business.
listen, if you're doing that, that's free game.
Hey, you gotta hustle, gang. You gotta take it for what it is. But I think a lot of people sit on their hands with marketing, and we've always been very proactive. Like this is our baby. Like we gotta watch it grow. We gotta feed the machine. So,
The one thing on that too, Joe, is like if I look at like early days, we used to go to a lot of networking events. I don't even know if people hand out business cards anymore, but they definitely used to.
oh
And it'd be
sure,
like, you'd be at an event like chamber event, town day, games, whatever, and be
health
like, hey,
fairs. Yep.
here's my business card. I would take those business cards always and be like, okay, well, they gave it to me. They want to hear from me on the email list. I mean, anybody has the ability to do that. I
You
look at
and you never know who the next like
oh,
great client's going to be. Yesterday we did a job fair at a local college down the road. Right now, most of these were students looking for employment, but almost all the students at this college, 47% of them are student athletes. Right?
mm,
We got about 35 people to fill out the contact form. Right? They're all going to go on our email list, and I'm going to follow up with them all, me and Erica, on Monday. Hey, thanks so much for coming to see us. Let us know how we can help. If you're ever looking for training and or career in
it
fitness, we'd
that's a
love to chat.
great point. That's a great point because recruiting is marketing, where like
Yeah.
we're a business now. We've spent money on Indeed. We've had tremendous success with these job fairs that Joe's talking about. You could create a employment pipeline in your CRM that has hundreds of contacts. And before you go to Indeed to spend more money, you could say, hey, just throwing out a flyer
Yep.
here. We're looking to hire a full-time coach, and you own those contacts. You never know what these people are doing. And
Yeah.
you just say, hey, you post the job internally. And look,
Yeah.
owning the contacts is never a weakness.
We have a series of summer internship and job opening emails going out after next week, the week after,
Yeah,
just as soon as first week of April, as soon as that goes out, we'll have a whole series of that, right? Just because again, we have this huge list. Somebody knows somebody on that list who's got a kid who's an exercise science major who wants to open up a gym, maybe wants to go into coaching or whatever, right? So think about it
absolutely.
that way. Number two is going to be social media. Obviously, a necessary evil, a huge part of the business. I think obviously has a lot of downside in terms of like time suck and can really like drag people into like doing all these crazy videos for not a lot of ROI, right? But definitely something you should be showcasing. So if you think about how we utilize social media, it's really just to showcase what's happening in the gym. Great coaching and coaching tips, um, clients having fun and succeeding in the gym, happy smiley coaches with their happy smiley clients, right? Milestones and success stories. Literally just a mirror image of the fun, exciting activity that happens on the gym floor with our coaching staff every day, right? And allowing and then every once in a while, obviously, reminding people that we have this great initiative coming up. We got open enrollment, we have a 6 week transformation, whatever that might be, right? We have these things happening in the gym. But if you look at how our marketing works, and this is obviously like Ignite has helped us with this a lot with heat mapping our websites and tracking, pixel tracking all of the leads. What you often see is people will see something on social media and then they'll go to your website, right? Checks things out. Okay. They'll do a little bit more research, or they'll go to Google and do a Google search to check to see if you have 5-star reviews, right? And things like that. And then they'll ping your website or they'll ping back on social media. So there's like this ping pong bowling effect. So if you come to social media and I get you to the website, and then you start seeing my emails, right? All of a sudden, I start building more and more rapport. It's like, man, this guy Joe just keeps popping up in my life, right? I see Varsity House doing cool stuff in the gym on social. I get great emails from Varsity House with tips, tricks, and tools to improve my fitness, right? Maybe I'll give it a go, right? So social media is authority, proof, culture. It shouldn't just be workouts, obviously. I think it really needs to be a lot more client spotlight, working out, bench press. Unless you're bench pressing 800 pounds or something wildly crazy that like that's your training power lifters. I really shouldn't see much of workout videos from gym owners unless you're doing some wild, crazy stuff. Now, if you want to do a workout tutorial video, I'm all for that, right? You want to show people a technique that they can use to improve their shoulder health or their neck or something like that. Or hey, here's 3 things I do to help our clients fix their lower back. That's an authority piece. Now, you deadlifting or doing an RDL, right? Now all the Fitspo girls would be mad at me for listening to this, but like you hiking up your Lululemon, skin tight pants into your crack and then positioning the camera so it's facing at your butt. How about why can't I get a side angle of your RDL? Why does it have to be the back angle? I know why, because that drives attention, right? But again, if you're not the sexy gym owner selling that and you're selling actual clients to come to your gym, most of us are selling adults, 35 to 65, right? That might not be the best angle, no pun intended, for you to take, right? So think about more education, motivation, inspiration, client spotlighting, having fun in the gym. All right. Number 3 is on the offensive scorecard is digital ads. In my opinion, you cannot own a business in 2026 at a certain point, maybe your first year, but again, if I knowing what I know now, I would have spent a lot less money in certain areas of the business. If we were starting from scratch today, 2026, Dan, we would start with an ads budget right off the get. And,
100%.
it is going to be almost impossible to get the type of traction that you need without some type of digital ad roll, right? And having you think about your initiative marketing emails, you have this calendar of marketing, we have special events, we have our holiday calendar of New Year's, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Easter, right? We can run events on all those. Plus, we have like maybe some big marquees, like we have like our 6 week transformation, right? And then the digital ads, your evergreen marketing, it's like you're running a 28-day rebuild, which is one we run, or your first 2 weeks, buy two, get two, right? Or come in for a free week of training. And that faucet is just drip, 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 drip constantly. You set an ads budget, you optimize, you let it run, right? And you let it run constantly and you don't turn it on and off, right? You just change and repackage the bow that you're putting on that and you call it different things and you try a couple different offers, different creative, but it never stops. And that's dripping constantly. And then on the other side, you have your email marketing, your social marketing, and your marketing initiatives, and you're marketing bigger items and bigger tickets. Hey, we're running a 6 week transformation. We're gonna have a Memorial Day meltdown. Hey, we're having a Mother's Day referral event. Bring a mom to the gym the week of Mother's Day, and get your first month half price, like whatever it is, right? But now I have, in a sense, like 2 faucets. One of them is dripping constantly, and the other one is like a like. Psh, psh, and I turn it on and off when I have major events happening in the gym and I have a huge spurt of activity and I turn that off. But the evergreen is constantly dripping in the background. So to give you guys an example of how that works right now, all of our email marketing and almost all of our social media marketing is going towards our 6 week transformation. We're not running 6 week transformation ads, which might be counterintuitive to some people, but our evergreen ad is working really, really well. And our cost per acquisition, our cost per lead is very, very low. So we just gassed up the money. And when people come into the gym ecosystem through that ad, we're just saying, hey, I know you came in for our 28-day. I know you clicked on our 28-day rebuild. Most people don't even know that they did that. But we have our 30th 6 week transformation coming on. I think that might be a better program for you. We just sell them what the primary objective is for that time in the business, right? So, but spurts of activity in one area, constant dripping in the other. You need digital ads. Hire a great company, Ignite, our people. We'll put the link in the bio. They're one of our
Yeah.
sponsors. They're one of the best in the business, and they've done a phenomenal job. But those,
You said something that I want to like bold and underline three times. If you in your mind are like, hey, I'm willing to spend, let's just call it $15,000 annually budget for digital media, whatever you want, whether it's Meta, Google, I don't know,
pay somebody to do social media,
there's a
whatever.
local Facebook page that is a paid page. Okay, whatever, like that's fine. The worst thing you could do is be frenetic with and totally reactive to what's happening, what's not happening, cost per lead, da, 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 like. And I know it's become in vogue and sexy, cost per lead, creative, this, that, and the other. It's like, look, if you've never done it before, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be in the know with cost per lead or client acquisition costs, but like if you've literally never spent $1 on digital and you're willing to spend 15,000 for the year, let it marinate in your head. Hey, I'm doing this for 1 year and take inventory every 2 to 4 weeks where it's like, okay, like is this working? Like, can I tweak something? Not like I'm going to shut it off and restart again. I'm going to shut it off. This company sucks. I'm going to shut it off because Meta sucks. I'm going to shut it like that. It's like the kiss of death with your marketing because you're allowing it to take up way too much headspace where
Mm,
it's just one avenue of marketing. Don't expect your gym to be filled by you spending $1,200 a month. Like, that's
yeah,
not going to happen.
no,
Could you, if it adds one or two customers a month and you're adding 20, 30, 40 leads to your email list, that's the compounding interest effect. Because if you add one or two customers and your lifetime client value is 6, 7, 8 months, it's like, okay, well, like, now like towards the end of the year we're going to have this hockey stick like slap shot approach where we're going to finish really strong in month 9, 10, 11, and 12. You're not
yes.
going to see this like the doors blow off in the first 3 months, and I think gym owners are looking for that quick fix, and it just doesn't exist.
No, no. Everything is compound interest. It's I think I don't want to be this grand slam hitter, right? You don't want to be the Babe Ruth, right? And this, where
Well,
you're
maybe you do, maybe you do.
in some, well, in some respects, like hitting home runs, all trying to hit home runs and striking out a lot causes huge inconsistencies in cash flow. I'd much rather be in a sense like the Derek Jeter, Mr. 3000, where you're constantly hitting, doubles and singles all the time, but but your batting average is high because it's better to have a consistent evergreen drip and well-placed initiatives throughout the year that you market internally and externally via your email, social media, and internal to your own members. Again, if you cornerstone your year with two great 6 week transformations or quarterly transformation, we do a new year, new you, 6 week transformation, summer shred, new back to school, 6 week transformation, Black Friday event, holiday discounts in a New Year program or something like that, right? Now you have these marquee events. Then sprinkle in, a Valentine's, bring a friend, event. You have a Mother's Day event, a Father's Day event, a summer accountability challenge. You have a fallback into fitness, right? And you kind of create these other little mini sprints, right? So you have a couple marquee events. Now you have a machine. Now you have a system. Now we're executing a year-round marketing plan. And you could sit down, and if you do that for a year, you can go back and say, what worked, what didn't, what can we fix, what do we want to get? Are we doing too much? Are we doing too little? Right. And I'm tracking attrition, I'm tracking membership sales, I'm tracking attendance, right? And I'm looking for trends where I see, like, we identified a trend. February was killing us for years. And it was like, yo, we have to do something in February to bolster the income and the client revenue in February. Add more marketing, add a couple cool initiatives, do some more fun stuff, create some sprint activity by our team, and boom, February is no longer a problem, right? Now we've identified, like, we're lulling out in the mid-October, November, right? It's like, okay, great. Hey, Joe, what do we got? What can we do this year? We got Black Friday, which we know always crushes. We have our 6 week transformation in September that always crushes. We're getting a little beat up in the October to November range. We got to have something that hits a little bit better this year. And it's like, okay, great. So my brain's spinning to fix that problem, right? So again, it could just be, if your ad machine is working well, it could just be, hey, for the month of October, we're going to drop another grand on digital ads and bolster the digital side of that, right? If we don't have a great initiative, or we don't want to like squeeze an initiative in between. All right. All right. And the last thing there before we get to defense is, community stuff and joint venture marketing, right? So, look, and one thing that Dan and I are big on is we've gone like super tech. Like, we already have subscriptions to like 5 AI platforms. We have a digital media team, Ignite, who does all of our websites, funnels, and ads. Right. We have a social media team, Simmons, who does all of our social media and helps with our creative, our graphics, like graphic design, and like flyers, brochures, logos, things like that, right? And we spend an enormous amount of money on that. Then you have obviously myself, basically a full-time email marketer and copywriter at this point, writing all the emails, sourcing all the copy, and putting stuff together. But you still have to be seen in your community. You have to, at the end of the day, fitness is emotionally charged. It's tied to people's confidence. You're here, people are here constantly. Clients are here between 2 and 6 times a week. People are bringing their kids in. If you're a small business, you have to still think community. You got to go to the 5Ks. You got to do stuff for the local sports teams. You got to be at a health fair. You got to be at the job fair. You have to get out in your, you have to go introduce yourself to other good businesses in your community, even if they have no intention of doing business with you. Go in there and say, "Hey, me and Dan used to just walk in cold." I mean, I know you felt the same way. How embarrassing was it sometimes to walk into a business and feel like two dipshits
Oh,
walking into a business, and they look at us like we have six heads and be like, I'm Dan and this is Joe, and
but nobody
we
does it.
no, yeah, exactly, not anymore. Now
Nobody,
it's
nobody does it. So like it is like what's old is new, and like you're seeing all these things come out. It's just like, man,
yeah,
you become memorable when you walk in and you just introduce yourself and you say hello and maybe you bring a gift. Like
yeah.
it's
Uh,
powerful.
one of our consulting clients recently did like a grand reopening. They moved to a new space, and I'm going over like, hey, like here's our playbook for a grand opening. You're gonna run some, and one of the plays is the campaign trail, and it's like, what the hell's the campaign trail? It's like, hey, you in your local like 2 or 3 blocks, wherever your business is, if you have a main street downtown, or you're in a strip mall, or you're next to a few other businesses in a strip mall or area, right? Jersey, everywhere is a strip mall, right? Um, you're gonna create a package, you're gonna get some gift cards, you're gonna maybe go buy some cookies or something at the local shop, and we're gonna go introduce ourselves to every single one of those businesses. I'm gonna walk into the town hall, I'm gonna try to meet the mayor, meet the people who work there, go into the fire department, the police department, and they're like, really? You would do that? I was like, who knows more people in town than the chief of police, the head of the fire department, the mayor, right, and other local business people? If they don't know who you are, it's like start there. The worst they can say is thanks, but no thanks, or hey, thanks, have a nice day. They never speak to you again, but at least they know you tried. And in my opinion, like those are all long plays, but they'll never be able to say that I've never seen those guys ever in town.
Yeah, and like here's another thing on spend. And a lot of people, I mean, this could be a good segue to defensive marketing, but if you have people on your roster and you're like, man, I have a kid and I'm married and I can't work all week and then go to something on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like obviously Joe's referencing a time when we had nothing but time and or that's we were just willing to give all of the time to the business where but if you have like we have people on our staff, it's like, hey, they just went to a we had a business and strength event. There was a local charity event. Said, hey, we need two people to attend this event. It's 3 hours. You'll get paid an hourly rate to attend this event. Cool. Like, and they went, hey, we need two volunteers for the 5K. You're going to get paid your hourly rate for that. Like, if you think about it, like, hey, I'm willing to spend, let's call it 2 to 3 hours a week on extracurriculars. Think about the return on that investment. Let's say it costs you high end $100 a week to get a representative in your clothes with some type of gift or offer to go and just politics, shake hands, meet people, support clients. That's $400 a month. That's nothing for the person that's getting it. Hey, I'll take $400 and
Yeah.
it's enabling you to show up as a real communal business. So you're checking two boxes. One, you're giving a motivated person on your team the ability to make more money. And two, you're showing up differently in your community because, hey, look, at the end of the day, all franchises, what are they doubling down on, Joe? The only thing they're spending money on is digital ads because they don't want to play the community game. At least most of them,
Yeah.
not yet at least.
No, you have to. I love that game. I mean, look at the relationships we've built in our community from going to things and doing things, right? Our business is a transformed business because of personal relationships that we've made, by doing a free speed clinic with a junior program, with a junior football program, by going to doing a golf program, by showing up and doing and getting a table at a health fair or a 5K, or for years we showed up and we would do the career fair at the local high school for the high school kids and talk to them about what we do as strength coaches and stuff like that. Like all of those things leave a trail of goodwill seeds, right? And what you want is when people do think about fitness or performance for their kids, they say, "Hey, man, I see those dudes showing up all the time. I see their team out there trying to
Can't
give
fake
back to
that.
our
You can't
community."
fake that
Yeah, yeah.
forever, you know?
Like, yeah, like like between the time and money that we've given back to the local communities where our gym is, it's literally tens of thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of hours in time, right? So don't forget that. And again, like we could have great email marketing, great digital ads, great social media, right? And we could have a really good thriving business, but don't forget to go be part of your community and really give back a little bit. So, all right, so we'll talk about defense now, and I'll let Dan kind of paint some overview as to like, how this became a thing in the business. We kind of created this defensive scorecard, and we saw that it was just a big hole or an area of lack of focus, right? Where if we could put some data around it and kind of get some averages as to where we should be on referrals, reactivations, upgrades, right? And set some numbers on reviews like, hey, I think when we started like our defensive scorecard a few years ago, Dan, we had like, maybe like 100 5-star reviews or a little bit more than that, maybe 150 or so. Now I just looked yesterday because I was actually replying to tons of them, which is another marketing tactic because it actually improves your Google search by actually replying to the 5-star reviews or any reviews. And now we have 355 5-star Google reviews. When you look up personal training gyms in our area, we come up top of the line because we have so many reviews. So what
Yeah.
what what was in a sense the inception of the defensive scorecard and the need to improve
Well,
that area of the business?
I mean, years ago when we really professionalized knowing our numbers, it really was just about, it really was outbound. Okay, how many leads do we need to get to extract this many clients, and what do we need to keep our attrition rate at? And that worked for a really long time. But when you think about an attrition rate or a churn rate, how many clients you're losing on average per month, it's a lagging indicator. The month has to end first for you to really know your true metric. It's not a leading indicator. And we created a defensive scorecard so that our team could understand like what are some of the things that we can do to positively impact an improved attrition rate. It's things like utilization in sessions. It's things like a text message to any client that was signed in that didn't show up. It is the amount of reach outs it's going to take to get a former member back in the gym. It's the amount of referral based events that we need to host each and every month in order to hit our metric. Now, our metric for referrals and reactivations in each building, we're looking to get 20% of our clients to refer and reactivate on an annualized basis. So if we have 100 customers, we're looking to get 20 referrals and 20 reactivations annually. So 40 customers a year off of a basis of 100. So that's really the defensive scorecard in a nutshell, in a brief overview. I think about defensive marketing. A great book on defensive marketing is a book by Dan Kennedy called Almost Alchemy. And I think about this with our team where if you have a mature business that's been around for a couple of years, like let's call it 3 years or more, you have 80, 90, 100 plus customers. There is so much money right at your fingertips to be made off of increasing or improving the service ladder of offerings. Literally, we're in the midst of selling a 6 week transformation right now. We've sold as of today how many 6 week transformations, Joe? 110?
Yeah, about 110. We got
Yeah,
basically 10, 2 weeks left to go in the marketing. So
right. And only 20 of them are external.
yeah,
So that means we've had 90 people raise their hand and go, yeah, I'll do that. And these
or I
people,
need a little bit more. I need a
I
little
need a
bit
little bit
more.
more. And there are already people that are getting great service, but whether they just need to dial it up a little bit, maybe they want to compete, maybe they want additional accountability, maybe whatever it is, we have had 90 people raise their hand and say, yep, I'll pay anywhere from $100 to $200 more to increase the service ladder. Well, what does that equate to? It's not just the front end dollars. Sure, it's going to be about $10,000, a lot of which we'll give back in prizes, but you're getting people to double down on their frequency. You're getting people to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm going to do this. And what are they doing? They're committing themselves to more. Anytime somebody commits themselves to more in your business, that is a great leading indicator that they're here to stay at least for a while longer. So, what we see during these transformations is this is not a pitch to do a transformation, is our attrition rate during those 6 weeks and the 2 weeks leading up is historically super low because
Super low.
people have locked in. So in
Yes.
Almost Alchemy, it talks about a few different things. It's okay, more from less in terms of upgrading the service offering. And in your gym, that could be simply like, hey, Joe, you've been training twice a week. You want to try 3 times a week for the next 2 weeks and see if it works for your schedule? And if it does, I'll give you half off the upgrade for your first month. Cool. Joe does that after the month. He's like, hey, you know what? This worked for me. And Joe goes from paying 300 a month to 400 a month in perpetuity. That
Yes.
is humongous. It's freaking huge. Another thing is um you can add, like for most gyms, most of you can add somewhat of a high ticket offer. Like could that be a weekly goal setting or a monthly goal setting session? Could you layer on some technology? This week Turnkey Coach hosted a great presentation on if you have executives on the move, you can coach them from anywhere in the world with some of our technology and accountability trackers. You know, you can sell the executive program and there's probably people in your gym already that would be willing to pay for something like that. And
Oh, big time.
last but not least is, can you turn your current customers into affiliate-based marketers? You see this with e-commerce all the time. Like the people in our business of strength mastermind, we pay $1,000 cash for referrals. And that's how the group's grown, right?
Yeah.
In our gym in the month of February, we said, hey, we're doubling down. February's for friends. You refer a friend with all these opportunities, they get a month free, you get a month free. We had, I think our annual goal of referrals was hit in 1 month.
Yeah. Yeah. We did.
Like, so,
We did.
I mean, 20% is the minimum that we're looking to hit. And I think in actuality, we hit, it was, what is it, just under 50 referrals?
Under 50 referrals in the month. Yeah. 48 or 47.
Right. That's a huge number. And for anybody
Crazy.
listening, like the friend had to prepay their first month, they get the second month for free. The
Correct.
member got their next month for free. So it
Next
cost
month
us a,
comped. Yep.
yeah, but it cost us a lot. But again, like we turned hundreds of people into affiliate-based marketers where we know that we were the topic of conversation with spouses,
Yes.
friends,
Yes.
at dinners, and it just gave them the ability to make it super simple and exciting to refer our business. So again,
And
on
and
the
and remember on the sociologies, psychology, sorry, the psychology of that too, right? It's our 20th year in business. We want to really give back. We gave away basically $400 to each person. So it was an $800 cost of acquisition to get a new client in a sense, right? Our basically our average, LTV of a client is over $4,000, especially for referrals, right? So the reality is that if you're giving away a little bit, right, to get a lot of it on the back end. But
Mhm.
think about this, but think about the psychology. I got one of my close friends who's been talking about fitness or spouse or whatever it is, finally into a gym and got them a hell of a deal, right? I did that for them, so like, Dan, you got to come join the gym, man. You've been talking about it forever. Right now, they're doing like a buyback of referral program. You
Yeah,
get a free month, I get a free month. Like, yo, that's
totally.
$800. Let's do this, bro. You stop talking shit and get your ass. Like the amount
Also,
of
you
shit
turn
talking I heard from people too was like, yo, I literally told my sister that that's it. You're joining the gym, and I dragged her here. I was like,
and you're
okay,
getting the accountability from the member. That's like they don't want to, in their eyes, like if I refer you to a business, I don't want you to show up and act a fool at this business. Like
no,
you're going to
no,
ruin my clout by doing that. I also look at one other thing, and it just came to, obviously we're running and growing gyms, which I think, makes the information super applicable. Like this morning, I'm on the floor, I'm talking to Steph. She's like, yes. I'm like, what happened? She's like, my one thing for the week was that I was going to get 3 people to commit to the 6 week challenge that aren't currently members. I was like, awesome. What'd you do for them? I gave them an additional $100 off and I wrote a message specific for them based on an original goal setting session. I'm like, holy shit, that is freaking amazing because
genius.
it was all about them. Hey, you said you were going to do this. Where are we at with getting there? And if you need some help, look, we're running our 6WT. It starts next week. I'll give you an additional $100
Yeah.
off. And if you want to come in beforehand just to get warmed back up, no problem. I can book you a session next week. She went 3 for 3. But again, that
Keep going, Steph.
she did a fantastic job, but she's understanding these leading indicators of what it
Yes.
takes to hit our goal numbers. And,
Yeah,
we've
and
empowered our team to
I
know
was just
that.
going to say the best thing about all of that is that Dan and I didn't even know about it. We had nothing to do with it. I didn't give her the play to do that. She probably with Mike and Adam just kind of sat down and think, hey, what can we do this week to drive some leads? I'm going to reach out to a bunch of old members who either did consults with me, had goals, or did past transformations, and let's call these people and get them back into the gym. And that's the win that you get when you start teaching your people how to think like businessmen and business owners and how to market, how to sell, what to say, giving them the tools to be successful.
Totally.
Great.
I mean, it, that's really, I mean, in a nutshell, offense, defense. I think so many people spend probably too much time thinking about where their next lead is going to come from. If you have 100 customers, your next 20 are on the floor.
They should
They're
be.
already on the floor.
Like you should think about it this way. If I got 100 customers, I should be able to get, right, 20 referrals right off the bat. Like that I should be able to get 20 referrals. I should be able to get at least 10 upgrades. There's at least 10% of your population that's looking for more business, more. They want a nutrition consult. They want to add a day of personal training. They want a private session once a month to supercharge their workouts. They need supplements. They need something, right? So there's 10% want to upgrade. There's probably another 20 to 30% who will leave you a review or a testimonial if you haven't pulled that lever too often yet, right? So there's again, you're sitting on a shit ton of social proof to help get the next pile of people. And last but not least, if you have 100 members, that means you've probably lost in the last year or two, probably another 25 to 30 members. So we have
More.
at least, so we have a reactivation list, and we look at a 20% reactivation. So again, if I got 50 people, I
Well,
want to
what's
try.
that? I mean, 100 times three is what you got. You have 3 times 12 is 36. So, Joe, what's 20% of 36?
20% of 36 to not be able to do that math in my head like a bozo is seven, basically seven people
So,
right off
there
the
you
bat.
go.
So you got another seven. So I got 20 referrals, 10 upgrades, seven reactivations. I got 100 members. That's
Just off the
37
people that left in the
opportunities
last year.
right there. Like you like, and again, but I digress. I'm gym owner. I got to go downstairs and film a complicated social media video of nonsense, right? What you need to do is text, email, phone call, old members, current members. We do this on a cadence. So we have a defensive scorecard. So, again, one of the things we do here is that we have like an activity scorecard, right? And again, looking at leading indicators is how many reach outs a week, right? So we know that calling current members to check in on them is a leading indicator to an ask, right? Hey, Dan, I noticed that the last 4 weeks that you've been here, you've used all your sessions, 3 a week. 12 workouts, plus I saw you came to a few VFits. Amazing job. Do you need anything from us? Is everything going well? Have you set a new goal? Do you have any nutrition resources or questions? How can we help you? Dan tells me some feedback. I'm doing great. This is the first time I've really committed to my fitness. The nutrition's always a struggle, but I think I got a pretty good hold on it. Right? That's awesome. You're doing so great. Just to let you know, we have an awesome referral program. If you want to bring somebody in next week, right? They can come try a workout, come with you, just bring them to any one of your workouts. And if they decide to join, we'll give them $100 off their first month. We'll give you $100 off your next. During February, it was, hey, we'll give them a free month, and we'll give you a free month. We made a lot of those phone calls in February, and obviously we talked about the results. Nearly 50 people said, hey, shit, that's an awesome idea. I'm going to strong arm my brother, husband, cousin, best friend to get their ass in the gym. And it works, right? But the reality is that leading indicators, meaning activity, right? If you want to get more leads, you have to put more marketing output out there. If you want to get more sales, the leading indicator to sales is reach outs, right? Whether it's a text, email, phone call, right? But personal reach outs, personal. Dan, how you doing? Great job. I noticed Dana had her first workout this week. How did she do? That's just a good that's called good coaching. That's called good coaching. And reminding Dan of the opportunities that we have in the business for them. So, hey, everybody, this was a great episode. I hope you learned a lot. I do have a gratuitous plug, though. Dan and I have spent years really putting this together. Obviously, it's been 30 years for me doing the fitness game, 20 years for Dan, 20 years together. And as we always say, we're just getting started. We put together an amazing playbook to make your marketing simple. And it's called the I Need Leads Now playbook. And this is our go-to. What do you do when it's Wednesday afternoon and you're sitting around being like, man, we haven't converted a sale. Leads are a little bit low. Revenue's a little flat. What do? You pull out the playbook and you run a play. It's got everything from offensive plays, defensive plays, ideas for reactivations, referrals, joint ventures. It's all in one simple playbook. You literally just pull it out. You give it to all your salespeople. You can give it to your coaching staff or your management team and say, "Hey, gang, if we get a code red Wednesday afternoon, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, and we haven't made a freaking sale, or leads are a little bit low, or we're not quite hitting the revenue mark that we want to. We pull out the code red playbook, the I needs leads now playbook, and we rip it. We run some plays." And Dan talked about Stephanie. These are the exact type of plays that we're talking about, where it's like, hey, what can we do to generate activity? Go to the reactivation play. Oh, lost client membership. There's a couple done for you, like text emails in there. You run the play, doctor it up to be specific to them, send out a couple messages. Sitting on your hands and doing nothing, hoping that your marketing is going to change or that people are just going to walk in the door, is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. So we'll put the link in the bio, click the link at the bottom of the show notes, download the I Need Leads Now playbook, and start making plays and taking action in your marketing. This is a free resource, doesn't cost you anything other than your name, email, phone number. Opt in, get that playbook. This is a great resource for gym owners, managers, and people who want to get more leads in the gym immediately. So take that for what you will. We hope you enjoy it. This is another great episode of the Business of Strength podcast. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace out.